I used to think the sound of keys in our door meant comfort. Tonight, it's just metal on wood, an echo that lands inside me like a question I'm not brave enough to answer. The hallway light spills a tired yellow across the shoe rack where her boots sit, flecked with dried rain. We haven't had a real conversation in 3 weeks. We've had logistics, weather, schedules. We've had the ghost of what we used to say. Dinner is silent in the way new apartments are silent before a couch, too much space around every sound. She scrolls. I chew. The fork clicks like a metronome for a song that never starts. When I reach for the salt, her phone lights up. The screen shows only a name, 3 letters, Yi. I don't know a Yi. The light holds for a beat, then fades like a gull slipping behind fog. We should go somewhere this weekend, I say, voice small. You love the coast. She sets the phone down, face down, works insane, a thin smile, maybe next month. We used to reach for each other's hands without thinking. Now even our elbows know better. I wash the dishes alone. The kettle whistles in a room that smells like lemon soap and rain coming. That smell used to mean we were going to braid a quiet night together, Netflix, a candle neither of us could name, her feet under my thigh on the couch. That night lives 3 doors down now, light on, curtains closed. When the shower starts, the apartment exhales. I wipe a circle in the steamed kitchen window and watch the city blur. The red eye of a traffic signal, white streaks of passing cars, someone's balcony herb garden trembling in the wind. I think about the new way she closes the bathroom door, softly but final, a courtesy between neighbors. My friends would tell me to ask her. That clarity is kindness, no matter how cold. But they've never watched someone they love rehearse sentences inside their mouth in the mirror. They've never seen a future go dim by degrees, polite as a librarian closing early. The first message I listened to by accident. I'm just moving the laundry basket. Her phone slides off a folded sweatshirt, taps the floor, and lands on voicemail. It expands. A voice I don't know speaking with familiarity I recognize. Gentle, careful, I miss you. Tonight didn't feel real. Text me when he's asleep. I pause the world with my thumb. There is a universe between the words, I miss you, and the words we stopped saying. There is a universe between hearing a stranger say he and knowing he is me. The room tilts and rights itself. The kettle rattles on a burner that isn't on. In the bathroom, the water stops. A beat. The curtain rings stitch across the rod. Footsteps. I put the phone back where it was and place the towel on top like a grace I can't afford. I stand very still and pretend to read an email that isn't open. She steps into the kitchen in an oversized t-shirt, her hair a dark river down her back. She smiles at me the way you smile at a barista who remembered your order. Tea, she asks. Please, I answer, and something inside me goes glass. We move through our choreography, 2 mugs, a spoon, the honey that always leaves a ring on the counter. On the TV, a sitcom couple laughs at a problem that fits into 22 minutes. We laugh too, a fraction behind the laugh track. Later, her breathing evens beside me. In the dark, the city hums like a distant shore. I stare at the red dot of the smoke alarm until it becomes an eye that never blinks. I think about the name Yi. I try it on my tongue and it dissolves like a sugar that isn't sweet. I get up, step into the hallway, and let the night be honest with me. The floor is cool. The window is colder. The voicemail sits in my pocket like a matchbook. I press play again in the dark. I can still smell your shampoo, the voice says, softer. I keep thinking about the way you laughed when. I pause it with my whole hand this time. I don't need the rest. I already know too much, or not enough. Both feel like drowning. On the kitchen table, our wedding photo wears dust I didn't notice accumulating. We're sunlit and squinting, her head tilted into my shoulder, my hand at her waist, that bright July air deciding, right then, that we had earned a forever we hadn't learned how to carry yet. My legs give quietly. I sit on the floor against the lower cabinets, knees up, hands pressed into wood grain. The fridge hums a sympathy I didn't ask for. Somewhere in the building, a pipe knocks like a neighbor with news they wish they didn't have to deliver. It's almost morning when I hear her laugh in my head. Last week, at dinner with friends, at a joke that wasn't that funny. I hear it the way a dog hears distant thunder. I can't remember the last time that laugh was for me. At 4:17 a.m., I send an email to my boss. I need a day. I delete the subject line, write, taking sick leave. It feels more honest. By 6, the rain begins. Soft at first, like someone practicing the piano in another apartment. Then steady. The city turns gray and the glass turns to watercolor. I make coffee and don't drink it. I stare at the door. The door stares back. When she wakes, she will ask me what's wrong. I will say nothing, or tired, or it's work, and the day will nod and keep moving. But the voicemail is a stone dropped in a quiet lake. The rings are coming. She shifts in the bedroom, a sigh that used to make me smile. And I know, whatever this is, it has already broken. The only question left is whether I will be broken with it. She pads into the kitchen, soft footsteps, sleeve over her hand on the mug. You're up early, she says, voice gentle, the way you speak to injured animals. I couldn't sleep, I say. She nods. Rain writes its own language on the window. I had a weird dream, she says, eyes on the glass. We were on a train and kept missing our stop. I swallowed, yeah. She turns, meets my eyes. We should talk tonight. A long beat, the kettle begins to sigh. Okay, I say, and the lake inside me stills before the next wave. That night she laughs light, careless, at a line on a voicemail I play on speaker, and everything we've avoided floods the room. The house is a held breath. She stands in the doorway to the living room, arms crossed like she's cold, though the radiator ticks steadily behind the couch. I place my phone on the coffee table as if it were evidence in a courtroom, and I'm not sure I want the verdict. I don't want to fight, she says. Me neither, I answer and press play. Yi's voice fills the space we used to fill with dumb jokes and grocery lists. I miss you. Tonight didn't feel real. Text me when he's asleep. The room shrinks. She closes her eyes, a long breath. I'm sorry, she says, and the way she says it makes me know she has rehearsed it in mirrors and elevators and the glossy black of her phone screen. Who is he? I ask. My voice surprises me by staying whole. A friend, she says, then corrects. Someone from work. The truth arrives in increments, like a train easing into a station. It started after the conference. I was lonely. It wasn't supposed to, she stops, because we both know it was always supposed to do exactly what it did if you give loneliness the right room and the wrong keys. I nod, as if taking notes no one will read. How long? She looks at the rug. 3 months. There are whole lives inside 3 months. Entire seasons. Our basil plant thrived and died in that time. The first cold rain arrived. We bought new sheets and pretended the softness could fix us. Why? I ask, but what I mean is, why not me? Why didn't you talk to me? Why did you build a second house out of whispers and then come home to sleep? She drags her thumb over the rim of her mug. I felt invisible, she says. Then I didn't. It's an answer and a wound. I try to place myself in the story she's telling. I try to see the nights I was late from work after a client dinner, the weekend I said I was too exhausted to drive to the lake. I try to find the moment the light started failing. I can't. I only see 1,000 small kindnesses turning into habit, and then habit calcifying into a wall we both leaned against until it became the whole room. There is a pause where, in some other version of us, I might stand up, cross the distance, and touch her hand. In this version, I sit very still and listen to the rain insist on the windows. What do you want to do? I ask. She flinches like the question is a flash. I don't know, she says. I'm sorry. We sleep in separate rooms. She takes the bed because I say she should. I take the couch because it feels right to be small. The ceiling is unfamiliar from here. The TV gives back a dark version of me that looks like a stranger watching a stranger sleep. Morning comes gray and undecided. I walk without thinking. Down the block, around the coffee shop where the barista knows our order, new, and past the bookstore where we told each other the first secret things. I buy nothing. I carry my hands in my pockets like they're evidence too. People in the city continue to live in public. A couple argues quietly beneath an awning. A boy laughs so hard he hiccups. A woman in a red coat pauses at a puddle to watch the sky move in it. It all feels like a language I'm no longer fluent in. Back home, the apartment smells like cinnamon. She's baking like she does when big feelings need smaller tasks. On the counter, a cooling rack of cookies. On the table, her phone, face up this time. A message at the top of the screen. Are you okay? From Yi. The name is the same, but my body reads it differently now. It is a door I am not going to open. I go to the bedroom and pull out a suitcase. The sound of the zipper starting makes her appear in the doorway like she's been summoned by a bell. What are you doing? I don't know, I say honestly. I need air. She nods, arms around herself, like she's cold again. Please don't do anything dramatic, she says, and the words are a bridge she thinks will hold. I'm going to my brother's, I say. The word brother feels like a safe house I can still get to without a map. At my brother's, I sleep in the spare room with its single lamp and framed poster from a concert we saw together when we were 20 and bulletproof. He makes spaghetti, burns the garlic, and talks about the small, reliable things. His dog's new obsession with the mail carrier, the neighbor who plays trumpet at odd hours, the way the rain is good for the jacaranda. He is leaving me room. I am taking it. At 2 a.m., the ceiling fan slices the dark into even pieces. I listen to my own heart like it's coming from the next room over. I think about invisible. I think about the nights I was home but not present, my eyes on a screen, my thoughts at the office, my hand on her knee but my mind 3 floors down and a block away. There are betrayals that wear suits and heels. There are betrayals that wear sweatpants and silence. On day 3, I walk by the river. The water is the color of old coins. An egret lifts and sets down again like it changed its mind. I sit on a bench that remembers other people's worries, and I let myself fall apart where no one knows my face. I cry in a way that embarrasses me, shoulders shaking, breath hitching, like my body is 30 years younger and just learned what endings feel like. When it passes, I feel emptied out and newly hollowed, like a gourd someone cleaned for a candle. Light moves through hollows differently. Maybe that's the point. That night, I look up Yi. The name is too short for a search to give me anything useful. I don't know the last name, the job title, the face. Part of me wants to. Part of me knows that knowing would only be a new room to get lost in. Instead, I open our photo album. The real one, not the phone one. Dates written in her tidy handwriting under prints that are too saturated. We look like we believed the sun would keep choosing us. I stop at a picture of our living room on the day we moved in. Boxes like small cities. Her sitting on the floor eating pizza from the box, her hair in a knot, eyes bright with fatigue and hope. Behind her, the empty chair we found on the curb and promised we would reupholster. We never did. It sits there, bare patient. Waiting for the day we learn to fix what we bring home. My brother knocks softly and brings me tea. You don't have to be brave, he says, setting it down. He means, you don't have to have this solved by Sunday. He means, the part of you that wants to fix everything is allowed to rest. I think she laughed, I say suddenly, surprising both of us, when I played the voicemail, not at me, at something he said, like she forgot I was there. He nods slowly. Sometimes people laugh at the wrong time when they're scared, he says. Sometimes they laugh because the truth finally said its real name. I don't know what to do with that, I admit. Maybe you don't do anything with it, he says. Maybe you just let it be true. On the fourth day she texts, can we talk? I stare at the words long enough for them to become shapes. I type, erase, type, finally, tomorrow. Back at the apartment, I notice small absences. Her favorite mug washed and shelved. The sweater she always left on the chair now gone. The smell of her shampoo soaked into the towels like an echo that won't leave. On the fridge, the magnet from the coast we never drove to. The wave is still mid-crest, forever about to fall. I sleep in the bed. It feels indecent, like wearing someone else's good coat. I lay on my side where she used to and stare at the window. The rain has stopped. The city is a held breath again. At 5 a.m. I wake to a sound I can't place. Not traffic, not the neighbor. A soft tapping, I wait. There it is again. 3 deliberate knocks on the door. I sit up, heart tripping over itself. The hallway smells like cold air and old carpet as I open the door. She's standing there, hair pulled back, eyes red, rain on her coat though the sky is dry. I couldn't sleep, she says. Can I come in? She steps past me, sets her phone on the table between us, and says, I ended it, but that's not the hardest part I have to tell you. We sit at the table like we're about to play cards. The deck is a story we've both been stacking for months. She wraps her hands around a mug she isn't drinking from, as if warmth can be borrowed and not repaid. I told him it was over, she says, eyes on the ring she still wears. He didn't argue. Okay, I say, the word tastes like paper. I'm sorry, she says again, but this time it comes from lower in her, the place where true things start. I don't expect you to forgive me. A bus exhales outside. Somewhere a dog barks twice exactly. The apartment holds its shape. What's the hardest part? I ask, because it hangs in the room like a bulb no one pulls the chain for. She doesn't answer at first. Her throat works around a confession that hurts to touch. Finally, it wasn't just loneliness. I was angry, she says. At you, at me, at the future we kept promising and not arriving at, the house we said we'd save for. The trip we delayed, the way love felt like a to-do list. He made me feel immediate, like a person I could reach without planning. There's a version of me that argues with that. There's a version that catalogs what I've done, the meals cooked, the deadlines met, the apologies offered. But the version of me sitting here is tired of being a ledger. He wants to be a person again. I made you carry too much, I say slowly. The words land with a weight that is mine. I let our days get so practical, they stopped being days and became tasks. She flinches and shakes her head. That's not permission for what I did. Her voice is firm, suddenly. I betrayed you. I betrayed us. Silence, not empty, full of the shape of us before we knew better. Why did you laugh? I ask, because it's a splinter under the skin. She closes her eyes. He said something dumb, an inside line. Habit, she opens them again, and they're wet but steady. I didn't forget you were there. I was terrified. The laugh came out anyway. She takes a breath too shallow to help. When you pressed play, I knew I had to burn a piece of my life down in front of you. People do strange things when they smell smoke. I look at her hands on the mug. The small scar on her left thumb from the time she sliced a bagel wrong, the faint ink stain near her nail from a pen that exploded in her purse on the train. All our small accumulations, proof that we have lived side by side long enough to collect trivia. What do you want now? I ask. It's not a trap, it's a map request. I want you to be okay, she says, and then softly, I want to try, but only if trying isn't another habit. A memory slides through. The first apartment, a mattress on the floor, the way we ate Chinese takeout from the cartons and used the chopsticks as drumsticks, making our own music because the radio didn't feel right. We were ridiculous and tender, and sure we could learn anything as long as we kept laughing at ourselves. I think about forgiveness, not the clean kind people post quotes about, but the complicated animal that lives in the ribs and won't come when called. I think about boundaries, the kind that don't punish but protect the fragile parts we're both pretending are tougher than they are. If we try, I say, choosing each word like it might bite, we have to grieve first, not just the affair. The version of us that assumed we were safe because we were good people. She nods. I'll tell you anything you ask, she says, even if I'm ashamed. Okay, I say, but I might not ask right now. We begin small. We make lists, things that made us feel unseen, things that made us feel held. We write phones away after 8 like it's a new law. We write one night a week not for errands. We write say the hard thing when it's small. We pin the list to the fridge with the coast magnet that has been holding back a wave for months. At night, we sleep on opposite edges of the bed, careful as diplomats. In the morning, I watch her make coffee and see the effort it takes for her hand not to shake. In the afternoon, we walk without talking to a park where the grass is wet and the benches are occupied by people reading books with their faces arranged into peace. I do not ask about Yi's last name. She does not offer it. We build a tentative fence around that particular garden. Maybe one day we'll go inside together and decide whether to seed it with wildflowers or salt it. Not today. On the 7th day, she cries into the space between us. Not the performative kind, the animal kind. I pass her a tissue and don't touch her because sometimes touch is a demand. When she can speak, she says, I hate the person I was. I think about all the versions of myself I would not invite to dinner. We get to be new, I say, but new costs something. That night, lying still in the dark, she says, there's one more thing. My body prepares for impact. I save the voicemails, she whispers. All of them. The room tilts again, but I stay flat. Why? I don't know, she says. Maybe because I didn't want to lie to myself later. Maybe because I wanted to remember I'm capable of hurting people when I feel small, so I would stop making myself small. I don't know what to do with that either, I say into the ceiling. Me neither. We breathe, the fan turns. The city hushes and then starts up again, an engine that doesn't care about our repair. The next morning, she hands me her phone. You can listen, she says, or delete them, or ask me to. I'm not keeping anything you don't consent to. I look at the device that has held so much of our lives and so much of someone else's. I set it on the table, face down, like a stone covering a box. Not today, I say. Today, I want to remember your laugh when it belonged to us. She nods. We eat toast. It tastes like a beginning trying to remember how to be sweet without help. A week later, we try to go to the coast. The weather app lies to us about sun, and then delivers wind that lifts the sand into our eyes, until we both have to close them and laugh, because it's ridiculous to insist on romance when the world has other plans. We sit in the car and split a bag of chips and talk about nothing on purpose. It is not profound. It is not a movie. It is also not nothing. On the drive home, she says, if you can't forgive me, I'll understand. I don't know if forgiveness is a door we walk through once, I say. Maybe it's a field we cross every day until we get to the other side, and some days we only make it to the fence. We pull into our block as the sky decides to rain. The drops hit the windshield like 1,000 small decisions made at once. When we get upstairs, there's a package at the door. Inside, the reupholstery fabric we ordered 2 years ago and forgot about. The color is called Morning. We laugh at how the universe loves a bit on the nose. We wrestle the empty chair into the middle of the room. We staple and smooth and curse softly when the corners pucker. It's clumsy, then suddenly right. The chair looks like something that deserved patience. When we finish, we stand back and breathe like we climbed a small hill. She says, thank you for letting me try. I say, thank you for coming back. The city hushes, the chair waits. The rain writes the same sentence again and again until it sounds like a prayer. My phone buzzes with a new voicemail notification from an unknown number, time-stamped during our drive back. One last voice we haven't heard yet. The voicemail sits on my screen like a sealed letter. Unknown number, no transcription. The apartment is quiet except for the tick of the radiator and the small sounds houses make when they're deciding whether to settle or shift. Do you want me to leave while you listen? She asks, already half stood. No, I say, surprising myself. Stay. I press play and set the phone on the table between us like a candle we're both going to watch. A woman's voice, older, careful. You don't know me. My name is Lena. I was Yee's neighbor. She clears her throat, the sound of someone selecting the right words from a shelf. He moved out. Left a plant and a note for someone named M. I don't know if that's you. I'm calling because I found your number on the caller ID, and I think you should know he's gone. Not dead, just gone. Sometimes leaving is the only honest thing people know how to do. A pause. I hope you both find whatever is gentler than this. The line clicks. The message ends. We sit very still. The plant in the corner lifts a leaf toward the window like it knows a language we've ignored. I didn't know his neighbor, she says, voice small. I didn't know his life like that. Me neither, I say, and the relief that we do not have to carry his story surprises me by being warm instead of cold. We delete the message together, not as erasure, as decision. Days turn in their ordinary way. We go to work. We remember to buy olive oil. We forget to switch the laundry. We keep our phones in a drawer after 8, and sometimes we sneak them out to show each other a video of a dog who can say, banana. We kiss each other on purpose before coffee. We don't demand every kiss feel like forgiveness. We start therapy. The room is beige and safe, and the therapist smiles like a person who has seen many kinds of endings and doesn't flinch at any of them. We learn words like repair and bid and rupture, and they make maps where before there were only blank spaces. I dream less about trains. I dream more about slow mornings where nothing important happens except the decision to stay in the room where the other person is. One morning, very early, the city still blue with sleep, I wake before her and watch the light move across the chair we reupholstered. It is beautiful in a way that makes no demands. It simply receives. It holds. I understand, suddenly, that love is as much furniture as fire. You need places to rest. I think about the version of me who wanted revenge. Who wanted to forward voicemails to family threads and scorch the earth until there was no place left for our history to hide. I don't hate him. He kept me upright long enough to get here. But I don't invite him to breakfast either. She wakes and finds me watching the chair. You okay? She whispers, breath warm. I think so, I say. Today, yes. We sit in the morning quiet, coffee steam sketching the air. In the distance, a siren decides someone else's story. In our kitchen, the dishwasher clicks like an insect. Her foot finds mine under the table and rests there as if to say, this is ordinary and that is a miracle. We talk about the voicemails. We decide together what to do. She deletes them one by one, a soft chorus of little endings. She cries, not because she wants to keep them, but because endings deserve respect. We don't announce our progress to anyone. Our love is less public now, which feels more true. We go to the coast again and the wind lets us be. We eat fish from paper and wipe our fingers on our jeans and say, remember when the sand attacked us, and laugh until my ribs ache. At night there are still shadows. I still have questions that don't have answers that won't bruise us if I ask. I let them exist without giving them a job. She still has moments where shame arrives uninvited and she has to breathe it out like smoke. We tell each other when it's happening. We don't fix. We keep company. On a Sunday, we host friends. We make food that requires stirring and time. There is wine, but not too much. Someone's kid builds a fort under the table and invites us in. We crawl inside and stare up at the oak surface and the knots like tiny planets. She squeezes my hand in the blanket dark. I'm glad we stayed, she whispers. Me too, I say, and I mean it in the present tense. Later, after the dishes and the quiet, I listen to the apartment breathe. The rain has finally given us a pause. The city has given us a night without sirens. We have given each other the smallest possible miracle, patience. I sit in the reupholstered chair and feel it hold me up. It creaks once, a gentle reminder that even the strongest things make noise when they're asked to carry weight again. I think about letting go, not of her, of the version of me that needed a certain kind of story to feel safe, of the certainty that love is proof against every weather, of the idea that forgiveness is a finish line with a ribbon and applause. The morning arrives like a guest who doesn't knock. Light pours into the room without asking permission and lands on the table where our rings catch it and throw it back in pieces. I breathe in the smell of coffee. I hear the distant traffic, a soft river of other people going where they think they need to go. I speak softly to no one and to the room itself. We're going to be okay. Not a promise, a direction, ending moment. She pads into the kitchen, sets a mug down beside mine, and we sit in the gentle light, not speaking, our feet touching under the table, two people in a quiet room, choosing the same morning.